Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining Launching Science for the 25-26 school year. We're going to start in just a second. We are still letting a few people in. And for every other group, it has let me cut off that dinging. And for some reason, for kindergarten, it's not. So I apologize. Hopefully it'll stop in just a second. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So as a reminder, I know you've heard this in language arts and math and in social studies already, but in order to get credit for this course, please make sure that you have registered in PD&E, so it's 35262. So let everybody in, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Kristen Luthi, and I am the Director of K-5 Science. Joining me today is Brandon McKinney. He is our amazing science instructional coach. Also, Elisa Malone, our science program assistant, and Brenda McDaniel, our Green and Healthy School rep. I don't know why it won't let me cut it off this time. I cut it off every other session, so I am so sorry. Hopefully we're going to stop admitting people in just a second. And it's going to stop making that sound. Okay, so our agenda for today, we are going to talk about instructional calendars and pacing guides. We're going to go through high quality tier 1 instruction and then discuss our resources. Brandon, do you see the little bubble? Did it pop up for you by chance that says cut mute participants? Okay. It's popped up every other chat. I apologize, y'all. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. Okay. So instructional calendars. So for this school year, we have updated our instructional calendars. We sent feedback to all of our schools back in February. Teachers gave us feedback, and then based on that feedback, we updated instructional calendars. So you can find our instructional calendars on the main econ page, and then also on your kindergarten instructional website for science. Okay. So just know that instructional calendars were updated based on teacher feedback. Then we want to talk to you about pacing guides. So we have a multi-step process for reviewing and improving pacing guides to support student success. So we, like I said, Brandon and I are a 2-person instructional team. And so we rely heavily on our teacher leaders and our curators to give feedback, and then also through teacher feedback. So new this year, we have a feedback button. So on our main science page, you can give us feedback throughout the year on pacing and then on instructional resources. So when you click on that feedback form, you are going to get this form popped up where you can put your name, your school, your grade, the resource. We ask that you put the resource link, and then you are able to give us the type of feedback and then what your specific feedback is. So again, that is on the science office page. And you can give us feedback based on the resources or on pacing. So now on to the fun stuff. We're going to talk about high quality tier 1 instruction. And when we talk about high quality tier 1 instruction this year, I want us to think of 3 main words. We want to anchor our student learning. We want to give our students the opportunity to talk, and then our students an opportunity to do the science. So you will notice when you go to the brand new pacing guides that we have new 5E lessons for you. And so the lessons are follow the 5E model that we've been using in Gwinnett County since 2017. So we're going to start by engaging our students, letting our students explore, then giving that explicit content through the explain phase, elaborating, and then getting our students to or evaluating our students' learning. Okay. So again, the 5E model is not new. It just looks a little bit different. There's a new graphic that goes along with it, but these are things that we've been doing in Gwinnett County for science for a while now. So we want to start by engaging our students by annotating the learning target and doing the Notice and Wonder protocol with the phenomenon. Then we want to co-construct vocabulary with our students using the word catcher. Again, this is not anything new. We've been using the word catcher strategy in Gwinnett for quite some time now. Then we want our students to have the opportunity to explore. That is through our Tinker Time, okay? Again, that's not new. You guys have been doing Tinker Time, but it's just gonna look a little bit different. Then, based on teacher feedback, we heard you loud and clear. You wanted more explicit instruction through the explain phase. So you're gonna see that updated in our lesson plans this year. Then getting our students to elaborate on their learning through those critical thinking tasks and those literacy mini tasks. And then we have the evaluate phase, which is a brand new quick check. So let's take a look at the brand new pacing guide. So when you go to the brand new pacing guide, you will see the AKS, the learning targets, the brand new 5E lesson, and a formative quick check. So the 5E lesson is our best thinking around that indicator. Okay, so it is a full engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. Okay, it has all of the pieces tied together for you. Then we also have new formative quick checks, those to help you evaluate what your students have learned. You might do an amazing job on the lesson and then give that formative quick check, and your students might not have mastered it yet. Or you might do an amazing job and the kids got it immediately. Okay. That's why we've provided those additional resources for you to use based on what your students need in your classroom. Also new this year, we have vocabulary cards and review games. We heard kindergarten loud and clear that the assessment items needed to be updated. So you will see the assessment items have been very much updated to align to what a kindergartner will need. So let's take a look at a 5E model for teaching science. So you need to start off with annotating the learning target. Then we are going to engage our students through the Notice and Wonder protocol. We're going to co-construct that vocabulary with our students, let our students explore through Tinker Time, let our explain explicitly to our students, and then elaborate and evaluate where our students are. So starting with annotating the learning target, you can see some pictures out in the wild that we have taken. But when we annotate the learning target, we increase student engagement, we increase student achievement, and we enhance student ownership of their learning. And so we are super excited that there are examples embedded in the 5E lessons of annotated learning targets. So if you start annotating the learning target and you're like, I don't know what keywords I need to point out, then the 5E lesson is going to have examples for you. Then we're going to engage our students through the Notice and Wonder protocol with the anchor phenomenon. Again, lots of teacher feedback. In the 5E lesson plans, you are going to see a progression of the Notice and Wonder chart. So what does it look like when our students notice and wonder? How do we get students to determine if a question is opened or closed? And how do we refine questions with that student? With our students. So every 5E lesson is going to have that progression of the different anchor charts. And we'll look at one of those in just a second. Then again, with co-constructing vocabulary with our students through the word catcher strategy. So we know that the meaning of science concepts is captured in a web of related information and not a word. And so until students can connect the word with the web of information through a phenomenon or hands-on experiences, the word itself conveys or holds little relative meaning. So I love this quote because it reminds me of our Natalie Wexler work, where Natalie Wexler says that knowledge is like Velcro, and knowledge has to have additional information to attach to. And so when we give our students a web of information, they can attach the words to it. So we are also super excited that the word catchers are already in the 5E lessons. So you're going to see what does it look like at the beginning of the unit when I first started catching words. What does it look like once I've added some more words with my students? And then what does it ultimately look like when I've co-constructed words with my students? So when I have annotated the learning target, done the notice and wonder protocol, and started my word catcher, I've began to anchor my student learning. Okay. Now we need students to talk and to do the science. So next up is Explore. We are very comfortable with Explore. That is our Tinker Time activity. And so that is where our kids are talking and they're doing the science through Tinker Time. Okay. So we engage, then we explore. Again, we heard your feedback on needing explicit instruction. So on all of the brand new 5E lesson plans, you are going to see that explicit instruction under the explain phase. And so it is going to give you in the lesson plan talking points. What do you need to say to your students? And then also slides to support that learning. Okay. And that is going to be your explicit instruction. Now I've already started getting questions. Kristen, can we move the explain to before the explore? And the answer is no. We want to make sure that we are using the complete 5E lesson because when we do, our learning is systematic, sequential, and cumulative. It builds upon each other. Plus, we know that students need that knowledge Velcro to stick the additional knowledge to. So we always say explore before explain in science. Then we need our students to elaborate on their learning. Those are those critical thinking tasks, those mini literacy tasks, where students are engaged in the science and engineering practices. So students are developing models, they're planning and carrying out investigations, they're engaging in argument from evidence. All of those are in the critical thinking task and the literacy mini task. Then new this year, we have formative quick checks. So these are just 6 simple questions to support your student learning to see what they've learned from the 5E lesson. So when I do all of those things, we anchor our student learning, we give students the opportunity to engage in those collaborative conversations, and then we give students the opportunity to do the science. So also new this year, we have strategies for ML learners embedded into all of the 5E lesson plans. So we are using the QSSA strategy. And so the QSSA strategy enhances students' turn-in talks. So you're going to start by asking students a question, having them signal when they have their answer, providing students with a sentence stem. It's already in the 5E lesson plans for you. Letting kids turn and talk, and then assessing student learning. So as you are looking at the 5E lesson plans, you will see step-by-step instruction on how to do the QSSA, and then also you will see this logo in the lesson plans with the sentence stems and the signal and all of the different pieces of the QSSA so that all of your students can have meaningful conversations. So let's chat about instructional resources. So on your grade level page, you are going to find your instructional resources, the science and engineering practice, launch lessons and resources, strategies for our ML learners with the science and engineering practices, learning targets and vocabulary, and the K-5 science leader toolkit. When I click on the specific unit resources, there I'm going to find my instructional calendar again, that pacing guide that has your units, the analyzing the standards document, and the updated sample assessment items. Within your pacing guide, you are going to find, again, the Analyzing the Standards document, the Sample Assessment Item Bank, text sets, the learning targets and vocabulary, the materials that you are going to need to do the lessons, and ML supports and science and engineering practice launch lessons. We have also updated our CLT toolkit. So when you go to the ecom, you are going to find this button that says CLT toolkit. There you are going to find resources for supporting CLTs with your grade level, or if you just need additional information on understanding what is available for every indicator, that is a great place for you to look. So under lesson plans and pacing, it has everything from what do my anchor charts need to look like, what does my notice and wonder need to look like, what graphic organizers do I need to pull. For assessments, it has everything from the formative assessment performance task to the unit review to formative assessment strategies for your students and the sample assessment item bank. We still have our small group instruction resources and then also ML resources. So all of that information can be found in the CLT toolkit. And so you can use that slide deck again with your grade level or just for yourself. So let's talk about science materials. So kindergarten, you received 3 massive kits for 3 years in a row, thanks to ESSER funds. So you should have those kits in your classrooms. They were specifically designed to meet the needs of our science AKS. But we know that those materials are being used up. So we have downloaded money to every school from my office to support the replacement of material. So if you are out of clay, if you are out of pipe cleaners, reach out to your local school administrator and let them know what you need, because there is money downloaded to every school to support science from my office. Okay. We also have hard copies of The Next Time You See and a few additional books that are put out by the National Science Teacher Association. There are 10 hard copy books in every school. So reach out to your local school administrator, find where those are, because that is a wonderful resource for you and your students. Okay. So we have just a few minutes. I want to show you a couple things on our Comm Center. So the office homepage, if you click on science, you will see Brandon and the contact information for Brandon and myself. You will see professional development opportunities. This is all of our science PD for the school year. We have professional development resources. So if you didn't make it to Science Summer Institute, you can click here and see all of our slide decks. Then we also have our YouTube channel that Brandon and I are working on getting up and running. So like and subscribe. We're putting videos there to support different professional development topics. When you scroll down, you see the feedback button, and then lots of additional resources, joyful learning resources. We have digital copies of The Next Time You See in the I Wonder books. And then if you've ever wondered what a strategy looks like in a classroom, you can click on the classroom pictures and examples. And these are pictures, I like to call them out in the wild, of different strategies. So different word catcher strategies at different schools, different annotated learning targets, different I can statements, different anchor charts. So it just gives you a glimpse into that high quality tier 1 instruction around Gwinnett County Public Schools. Okay. Then I want to show you our brand new resources, which are our 5E lesson plans. So I'm going to click on kindergarten. I'm going to click on science. Here you see the grade level instructional resources, the CLT supports, and our amazing kindergarten curators and leaders who helped with this work this year. I'm going to click on force and motion, and I'm going to click on our pacing guide. Okay, it is going to start with unit 0. How do I set up my classroom? How do I get my kindergartners to understand the science and engineering practices? Then again, those resources that we talked about, we have our text sets. And I know they come in and they don't read, so this would be a good thing to read aloud to our kindergartners as they begin to learn to read. We have our learning targets and vocabulary. broke it into AKS. So I'm teaching AKS 3. These are the vocabulary words that my students need to know. And then the vocabulary cards are here for you. Then we have our launch lesson. So how do we get students to plan and carry out an investigation? We have our first indicator and then that 5E lesson plan for you. So here is the 5E lesson. It has the materials that you need. It has the learning targets. It has the Notice and Wonder protocol. It has the word catcher strategy for you. It has Explore. It has Explain. Again, we talked about those specific teaching points for our students. So this is that direct instruction where it gives you those teaching points, as well as anchor charts that you can make with your students. The Elaborate phase is that critical thinking task or that literacy mini task. And then the Evaluate is that quick check. So here is an example of the kindergarten quick check, circle an image that shows a pulling force. So you can assess what your students have learned. There is an answer key to go along with it. Then on the same lesson plan, so we want to make sure that you are reading the lesson plan because it has all of the teaching points and all of the anchor charts in it. But up at the top, if you click Key Task Slide Deck, this is the slide deck that goes along with the lesson plan. And so on the lesson, it will tell you, start on slide 5, and what your teaching point is. A phenomenon is simply something interesting or amazing that happens in the world around us. So we're going to look at this phenomenon. Okay, we're going to do a QSSA. So our questions today are, what do you notice? What do you see? What do you wonder? What questions do you have? When you have something that you notice or something you wonder, you're going to put your hands on your head. Okay, when we talk today, we're going to use these sentence stems. I notice, I wonder. Then we're going to have our students turn and talk. Then you're going to assess students by hearing from 3 people. Okay, I want to hear from 3 people. What did you notice and what did you wonder? Okay. The Explore, remember, is that tinker time. We have some collaborative leadership expectations for our students as they begin to work together in a group. We have our tinker time. And then we have our Explain. Okay. So back to the phenomenon, we're going to explain, we're going to compare and contrast the ball to the cube. We're going to look at physical attributes, and we're going to do another QSSA. Remember, that's our ML strategy to support students. We have our sentence stems with our students and that explicit instruction all the way to elaborate, evaluate with that formative quick check. Okay. So with that, Brandon and I want to thank you for your time today. Know that we are here to support you. So reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Remember, again, you have that feedback button. And then we are going to ask that you complete this pre-planning survey. This is for all of your sessions today. So language arts, math, science, social studies, special ed. We want your feedback. So you could go to https tinyurl.com/K5 preplanning, or if you have your phone up, you can scan this phone, and we would love your feedback on today's sessions. And remember, this is not just for the science session, this is for all of our sessions. So we'll give you just a few moments to find that tiny URL or to scan the QR code. And once you have captured the tiny URL or scanned the QR code, you are free to go. I hope you enjoy your Friday afternoon and have a wonderful back to school. And we'll stay on just a second for anybody to grab the survey or the QR code that still needs it. Again, once you have grabbed the QR code or the tiny URL, you are good to go. Have a great Friday afternoon, and thank you for your time.